Okay, here's an article from Geeks and Gamers. This is May 29th, 2026. Cancelled MCU films we should have gotten before Avengers Doomsday. I thought this was an interesting article. There was lots of cancelled projects that didn't really work out for whatever reason. Some of them I think might have actually changed things in terms of what happened in the MCU. So, December 18th, 2026 remains one of the most important days on the 2026 entertainment calendar as Marvel fans look forward to the release of Avengers Doomsday. Am I looking forward to Doomsday? I mean, kind of, but I think, like the article suggests, it's there's not really been a build-up as such. It's just been here's a bunch of random movies, and now we're getting Doomsday. However, the general mood as the date draws closer remains gloomy, thanks to the staggering number of underwhelming MCU releases that have preceded it and cancelled MCU films that could have helped set it up. Overall, the Multiverse Saga has been messy, unlike the Infinity Saga. Despite nearing its climax, the Multiverse Saga feels incomplete thanks to the disconnected plots and reduced fan interest. Disconnected, I think that's kind of the important thing here. And yeah, Doctor Strange, time runs out. I think this is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is by far the only film that tried to explain the multiverse to fans. With Strange and the mysterious sorceress Clea, Charlize Theron, setting out to fix an incursion in the mid-credits scene. The scene, which remains unresolved, was supposed to introduce the concept of incursions and how to fix them. Yeah, so with a multiverse, a character like Doctor Strange is very much the obvious person to structure everything together. So, like in the Infinity Saga, we had Samuel L. Jackson, who kept turning up, who kept trying to make the characters from the Infinity Saga look like a team. That was quite successful, I thought. And then Doctor Strange, if you're going to have a multiverse, Doctor Strange is the obvious character to kind of shepherd that all together. Because I think what went wrong, there was a multiverse in this film, a multiverse in that film, a multiverse in another film, but none of it was actually connected. There was no kind of thread holding it all together. I mean, we did sort of have the character of Wong, who kept turning up in lots of movies, but he didn't actually achieve anything. They didn't actually have that thread like they had with Samuel Jackson. So, and the unfortunate thing is, Multiverse of Madness was just not very good. There were some nice visual flourishes, like the different universes, like the Paint universe, for example. I think Multiverse of Madness came out in 2022. They could have squeezed in Doctor Strange 3, maybe in 2024, and that could have brought the different movies together. That could have driven the narrative towards Doomsday. So Doctor Strange 3 was rumoured to be the MCU project covering these events. So I guess that means fixing an incursion. Unfortunately, the film never went beyond pre-production. That's a real shame, that one, unfortunately. Young Avengers. The events in Avengers Endgame would still carry much more weight if Marvel went ahead with the Young Avengers film. The MCU has spent years setting up Kate Bishop, Kamala Khan, Cassie Lang, and others to become the next faces of the Avengers. Right, so I mean, yeah, there's been lots of different stuff with the Young Avengers, with different characters. Like personally, I haven't watched most of it, and none of it has been particularly commercially successful. I think there's definitely room for something like the Young Avengers, some kind of place to experiment with younger characters who could star in movies later on. But it hasn't really worked. I mean, maybe the one who's got the best feedback has been Kate Bishop, perhaps, but honestly, I don't think I've watched any of the projects that have included. I haven't watched any of the shows that have included Kate Bishop, so I can't really comment. Like the Maximoff brothers, for example, we've seen them again and again, and they've just not really had any impact. So I don't think Young Avengers would really have changed anything. Okay, Blade. I don't think Blade would have contributed to Doomsday as such, but I think it would have just been a really popular movie and made lots and lots of money. So I think this is a big commercial loss. While not officially cancelled, Blade, which was set to feature Mahershala I'm not sure, in the lead role of Eric Brooks, remains one of the most anticipated MCU films yet to be released. The hype around the film only increased with Wesley Snipes' cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, Old Man Blade, like Old Man Logan, yeah, so some kind of Blade movie, but for Logan with Wesley Snipes, I would watch that. I would also definitely watch this guy as well. Apologies for my pronunciation of the name, I'm just not sure, but I think he's a great actor. I don't think this would have contributed much to Doomsday, but I think it would have been a huge commercial success. I don't understand how you can fail to make a movie which would basically be 90 minutes of killing vampires. You don't even need much plot there. So this is just, I think, indicative of the inability of Disney to get anything competent done. Okay, what about Gambit? Channing Tatum as Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine. Before Disney acquired 21st Century Fox in 2019, the solo Gambit film was one of the network's most interesting upcoming projects. So that kind of implies that Fox was trying to make a Gambit film. Maybe it got cancelled when Disney bought up Fox, perhaps. So Gambit was in the Deadpool and Wolverine film. Maybe there's not enough time to develop a Gambit movie in there, and it wouldn't have contributed much to Doomsday. Perhaps maybe you could have introduced a couple of other characters in there, so some sort of connection to Doctor Doom, perhaps. But I think it's a little bit late in the time to expect a Gambit movie to have happened. It's not like Doctor Strange 3, for example, which is a massive loss to the Multiverse Saga. Armor Wars. Okay. Did this become a movie did this become a Disney Plus show or something like that? It still hasn't happened. The fate of Tony Stark's weapons and technologies is one of the MCU's bungled storylines after Avengers Endgame. Armor Wars was supposed to resolve this storyline with a conflict involving Don Cheadle's James Rhodes taking full control of Stark Industries and taking out deadly villains who laid their hands on some of the most dangerous tech. I mean, what a lost opportunity. What an obvious thing to make that people would have really, really wanted to watch. And yet Disney can't get their act together to make it happen. Armor Wars was initially announced as a 6-episode TV series set to release in 2023. I mean, Endgame came out in 2019. This should have come out in like 2020, 2021. The project was then changed to a feature film that is unlikely to be released until after Avengers Secret Wars. I mean, that is really just kind of lame. This is like Blade. I mean, this is a really obvious thing that you could do, but Disney can't get their stuff together. X-23. Daphne Keene's X-23, another fan favourite character from the X-Men movies that Marvel has yet to put to good use. Fox had an X-23 film in development before the Disney acquisition. Okay, so they were going to go ahead with it, but then they get sold to Disney. A bunch of projects get cancelled. That just kind of happens, unfortunately. Unfortunately, Disney quietly cancelled the film in 2019 to the disappointment of many fans. Daphne Keane reprised the role, yet to make an appearance in the MCU. Yeah, it could have been interesting. I kind of liked the portrayal. It was sort of had many of the same features as Wolverine, I guess, that same kind of anger and what do you do with it. So, I'd watch an X-23 movie, definitely. Shang-Chi 2. Oh dear, oh dear. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is another impressive film. Well, that's impressive is a word that can come out of your mouth or you can type it, but I personally disagree. That could have solidified the Multiverse Saga had a suitable sequel been pursued promptly. I don't think it did very well commercially, and honestly, I've never watched it beyond the first time that I saw it. In the film's mid-credits scene, Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers discover that the rings are sending a beacon into space, creating the perfect base for a multiversal connection. Yeah, this is the thing about the whole multiverse saga. It's just separate things and threads that get dropped, like Charlize Theron, which she appears at the end of Doctor Strange 2. We never see her again. We see the rings, the 10 rings are sending a beacon. We never hear of it ever again. It's just completely disconnected. I mean, you don't even have to have a Shang-Chi sequel as such. You could put him as a supporting character into another film, or you could use the rings, but maybe not keep Shang-Chi if you really don't want to make another Shang-Chi film. Having the sequel, I don't think people necessarily wanted Shang-Chi 2, but you could have still used this idea from the mid-credits scene somehow. But Disney, yeah, just don't seem interested in that sort of narrative cohesion since Endgame finished. X-Force. Okay, Josh Brolin was pretty cool in the Deadpool films, I guess. The cancellation of X-Force is by far the decision that most derailed the X-Men after Disney's acquisition of the franchise. Jeff Wadlow had the film in the works way back in 2013, a script featuring the mutant Cable, a young generation of X-Men, but Disney shelved it after the acquisition. According to Wadlow, he planned for the film to focus on mutants who never had the chance to nurture their powers in a school, as is the case in X-Men. That's a really interesting idea. So I think the problem with the X-Men is Wolverine is really popular, and to a certain extent, Professor X, played by Patrick Stewart, is also really popular. But take those two characters away, and what do you actually have in the X-Men? How do you actually do it? I think not doing the X-Force movie is part of the general what's actually popular in the X-Men if you take away Wolverine. So I'm not surprised that X-Force was cancelled. And Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. Jonathan Major's conviction in December 2023 put Disney in an awkward position. However, according to Kevin Feige, Marvel executives had already realised that Kang wasn't a big enough villain, and they were already pivoting from him to Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom. Unfortunately, their handling of the transition created a void that none of the films leading up to Avengers Doomsday has filled. Yeah, so maybe this is another area where sort of the narrative sequence of all of the movies was kind of thrown off a little bit, I guess. Doctor Doom, who has only appeared in a short cameo in the Fantastic Four First Steps, actually feels less of a threat to non-comic book fans, because previous films made Kang look formidable and never really killed him off. It would have been better to do a version of the cancelled film and resolve the character, and most conveniently, officially introduce Doctor Doom as the new big bad. Okay, that's an interesting idea. So maybe recast Kang, do a Kang movie, bring Doctor Doom into that movie. That might actually make sense. Yeah, I think the casting of Robert Downey Jr. is a little bit please clap. Yeah, I mean, some kind of Kang movie, perhaps that would have given some structure to the multiverse saga. Okay, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree or disagree that any of these movies would have been worth watching or would have helped the overall structure of the multiverse saga? And thanks for watching.